Hey everyone, I'm Hannah, this is Piles of Books, and today I'm going to be sharing my May TBR. Okay, so the month of April, I definitely booked myself really heavily, pun not intended actually, and I wanted to give myself a little bit more breathing room in the month of May. We're going to be starting school again for our next term, so May, June, and July. Next week, and so I know I'm gonna have a little less time to read in May than I did in April, plus it's just nicer outside and gardening and all of that. So I have less like official TBR books this month, but I still have a significant stack, and I also have a significant stack of mood read options, things that I would like to get to. So I'm going to start with my TBR books, and then I'll share the optional books next. So grab something hot or cold to drink, and let's get into it. Before I forget, I did want to mention just what I'm drinking. I really like that Dia does that. It's just something that I enjoy seeing from her. So I am drinking coffee today. This is a small mug. I usually drink a larger mug in the morning. But I found some like homemade coffee creamer recipes on the internet the other day, and I've tried 2 of them. I think there were 4 different options. I've tried 2 of them, and they are both really tasty. They are sweetened with maple syrup or honey, so there's no sugar in them, and so I feel less bad about drinking them. This happens to be the peppermint mocha recipe, and peppermint actually makes me sneeze, so I'm going to try to get through this video without sneezing, but no promises. I went to pour it into my cup and then realized, I should have used the other one, but that's okay. It tastes really yummy. So I've got quite a stack to start with. Let's see here. How should I do this? I'm going to flip these over. Try to not spill them. Okay. Maybe it's too many books, Hannah. Okay. Sitting on my lap now. We should be good. The first one I have is from my Harvard Classics set. So the set here right behind me, it actually goes up. There's 3 shelves, but they're not totally full with these books. If you watched my last video, you will know my project that I'm going to be doing here in the next while. It's going to take me a bit to get through these, but I wanted to start at the very beginning of this Harvard Classics set and read all the way through. So the first volume holds 3 books, and the first one is the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. So I don't know, the original intent with these books was to read for 15 minutes a day. I don't know if I'm going to do that or if I'm just going to read a book at a time. I haven't decided, but regardless, I'm going to be starting with Ben Franklin's autobiography in May. Wait for my dog to stop barking. I may have to close the door. My kids are outside, and the goats are out probably, so I'm just gonna shut the door. So the next 2 books are for the Literary Life Reading Challenge. I've mentioned it in every TBR video so far this year. It's reading through the centuries, the books of centuries. So the first one I have is Thomas à Kempis's The Imitation of Christ. I know nothing about it, truly. And then I'm going to be reading William Shakespeare's play Much Ado About Nothing. I probably will actually listen to it. I have read several of his plays, and I've listened to several of them, and they are fun to listen to when you can find like a full cast dramatization of them. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. I may read it, but I am hoping to find a fun audio version of that. So if you have one, please let me know, because I would love to know. So the next 2 books I have are from my 24 nonfiction book list that I made at the beginning of the year that I wanted to get through this year. Again, I think I've mentioned that in every TBR video this year, but the first one is Instruments in the Redeemer's Hands by Paul David Tripp. It says people in need of change, helping people in need of change. So I've never read anything by him, but I have heard only good things about his books. So on the back, it says, following the example of Jesus, Tripp reveals how to get to know people and how to lovingly speak truth to them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to that one. And then the next one is Stepping Heavenward by Elizabeth Prentice. Again, I don't really know much about this at all. It says classic novel. I thought this was a nonfiction book. I guess that tells you how much I know about this book. Okay, well, I'm still gonna put it on my TBR for this month, but I may replace it, I guess, on my list for something, an actual nonfiction book. Anyway, so this says, presented in the form of a journal, Stepping Heavenward is the story of a woman named Catherine who learns throughout life that true happiness is found in giving oneself for others. It says that it's in the form of a journal, which is probably why I thought it was nonfiction, but it's not, so we'll see about that. The next one that I have is my natural health book that I chose for the month, and that is The Body Electric by Robert O. Becker, MD, and Gary Selden. So like I've mentioned again in my videos, I really enjoy natural health things, natural health books, and I have quite a few of them on my shelf that I have not read. So I'm trying to get through a bunch of them this year, and this is the next one that I chose. So this is going to be really interesting. I love stuff like this. So the next three that I have are for the Reshelving Alexandria 52 book reading challenge. As I mentioned a couple of videos back in my book lists and resources video, I talked about Reshelving Alexandria. It's a Facebook group. They have a website, they have a podcast, an email newsletter, all of that. And each year they do reading challenges. So they have different ones. They have the 52 book reading challenge, a 12 book reading challenge, a family read aloud challenge, a kids reading challenge, I think. So they do different things. And this is the third year that I have participated in the 52 book reading challenge, but I've only completed it once. That was last year. So I haven't mentioned it really in any of my videos yet this year because I haven't been intentional about choosing books for it until April. I did choose a couple specifically for that challenge. As I've read books, if they fill a category, I write it down in my reading journal. From here on out, I am going to need to be a little bit more intentional about it. So I did choose 3 books for that this month. The first one is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I haven't ever read this, but this was for the category and a book written by an American author while living abroad. I had no idea where to start with that. So one thing that they do that's really helpful is at the beginning of the year, they do just several posts in the Facebook group a week where people can give ideas for the different categories. And so this was one in that category. And then for a book that models faithfulness, another one of the categories, I chose North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is also going to be for Chantel's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge for the month of May. Depending on which side of the challenge you're doing, you could either choose a favorite author or a new to you author. And I'm going to be going with a new to you author. I've never read anything by Elizabeth Gaskell, so that'll be that. And the last one I have is a book set primarily in Asia, and I chose Safely Home by Randy Alcorn. I don't actually know, I know this has a lot to do with China and the underground church. I don't know if it actually mostly takes place in China or not, but that's what we're going to go with, and if it doesn't work out, I can maybe find somewhere else for it to go. I have wanted to read this book for a few years, and I've just never gotten around to it, so I'm looking forward to that one. And then I'm going to share, I've got 4 library books. These are just mood read options for me. The first one is York by Laura Ruby. This is the first book in the Shadow Cipher. I really don't know anything about this. This is a YA steampunk sort of book. I think maybe alternate history sort of thing. I've seen different people talk about it on YouTube, and it always looks interesting to me, and I didn't realize that my library had it until I was there last week. I saw it for the first time, so I grabbed this. I'll probably give it a go. As a teenager, this would have been totally up my alley. It sounds fun. The next one is Shakespeare Saved My Life, 10 Years in Solitary with the Bard. I thought this was a novel, but this is actually a memoir, so I cannot remember. I think I saw somebody talk about this on the Literary Life Facebook page. Then these last 2 I have shared in a recent library haul video. So I have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This just sounds like a fun, just kind of easy sort of read. It sounds like it's perfect for springtime. And I don't know that much about it, but from what I do know, I think this will probably fit a category or two for the RA reading challenge. So if it does, that'll be perfect. And the last one is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I did start this. I read the first 2 chapters, I think, and I liked it. I was very intrigued, very interested in it, but it is very wintry. So I don't know, I kind of want to read it now, but I kind of want to put it down for now and come back to it in the winter. So I don't know, I'll have to decide on that, but so far the story was interesting. And then I've just got one more stack of books here. So these 4 books are not things that I'm trying to like get through quickly. I'm not trying to get through in May. I'm just picking them up and reading them. I'm not reading from all of them every day or anything. Just 3 of them are ones that I have on the go. And then the 4th one is one that I want to have on the go. So I guess I'll talk about that one first. And it is Les Mis by Victor Hugo. I've never read this. I am extremely intimidated by this book. But I also would like to tackle it. So I think I am just going to do a chapter a day. But definitely if you have some tips or anything to get through this book, I would love to know. I've heard different things. I think most people really, really like it, but there is just like a lot of just reading to get through. So yeah, definitely let me know if you've got some tips for that. And then this one, Even If He Doesn't, by Kristen LaValle. It says, what we believe about God when life doesn't make sense. I did start this book. I read the introduction and the first 2 chapters. I'm reading it actually with the Reshelving Alexandria group. They just started an offshoot group that's kind of like a book club, and this is the book that they're doing currently. So I think that really anybody who has dealt with loss or trauma or just struggling, I think probably needs to read this book. It's been super good so far. And then I have this Theological Retrieval for Evangelicals, Why We Need Our Past to Have a Future. This is by Gavin Ortland. He has a YouTube channel. I've watched several of his videos. I do not agree with everything that he says, but I do really like some of the things he says. So I was intrigued when he mentioned this book in one of his videos, and I bought it. I did start it. I read just a little bit of it because it is quite dense. But I have learned a lot so far, and I'm sure I'm going to continue learning a lot. And the last one is this Sacred Seasons by Danielle Hitchen, a family guide to center your year around Jesus. It's a pretty book. It's got poems and recipes, paintings, all kinds of different things. It's kind of about like the church year. It's just something I was wanting to learn about. And I looked up several books online. This is one that I saw that had really good reviews, but my library didn't have it. So I just went ahead and bought it, and I'm looking forward to reading through this one as well. All right, so that is all I have to share with you today. Thank you so much for being here. I would love to know if you have any thoughts about any of these books that I've chosen for May, and I'd also love to know what you're planning to read in May. So I will be sharing my April wrap-up soon. I've had a super reading month. I have been very excited about all of the books that I have read this month, and I'm excited to share them with you. So thanks again for being here, and we'll see you in the next video.